Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, and thank you very much for tuning in today. In today's video, I will be working on the 2012 Honda Pilot. You might remember this Pilot from the VCM series, the one I just rebuilt the engine on. Same Pilot. Well, the engine's been sorted. However, the headlights, they could use some work. In fact, they're not doing so great. You can barely see out of them at night. In fact, there's also a fog light that's out. So I aim to correct this problem in this video. However, I've done videos in the past about reconditioning headlights, a couple of them in fact. And frankly, I'm sick of reconditioning headlights. I would rather just replace them. In fact, TRQ has sent me a new set of headlights for this 2012 Honda Pilot that I could just install and be done with it. We just have an installation video and there we'd have it. So those of you with Honda Pilots, you would get useful information on how to replace your headlights if they're in the same condition as this. But that doesn't seem as interesting to me as a comparison between headlight replacement and headlight reconditioning. In the past, those videos that I mentioned, I didn't do any UV protection after doing all that work of reconditioning the headlights. Didn't have it at the time is why. This time I'm taking a different approach. Several of you commenters pointed out that that's just going to come back, as it often does, as it has in the past with me, if you don't put some sort of UV protection on that headlight after you finish reconditioning it. So I'm going to do that this time, but I'm only going to do one side. Here's the thing. I want a comparison between just replacing a headlight and reconditioning a headlight. I'm going to do the replacement / reconditioning today, but in a year's time, I want to come back and I want to look at both headlights and see how they fared, including with the UV protection and everything, to see if that's actually worth it. Because again, I'm just in a place where I'm like, you know what, just replace them and be done with it. But who wants to spend that kind of money on an old vehicle like this? I aim to answer that question in this video, so stay tuned. If I was just going to recondition these headlights, all we would really need to do is come in with some masking tape and mask off all the painted areas around the headlight and basically isolate it from the finish, because any sanding or anything we do, we don't want to do that to the paint. So I would just be doing that. However, for headlight replacement, that normally requires removing the front bumper skin, which is what I'm going to do now. Removing the front bumper skin also negates the need to tape around the outside of stuff because, well, I can either just completely remove the headlight or the bumper that I would damage just isn't there. So let's remove the front bumper. I have a confession to make. I never installed the lower splash shield on the Pilot after rebuilding the engine, and part of the reason was to keep an eye out for oil leaks. The other part was I already had these new headlights and knew that I was going to be installing them, so I didn't bother reinstalling the lower splash shield, which is something you will need to remove in order to remove the front bumper on this vehicle. So if you're looking for the removal of this lower splash shield, the details for that will be found in the disassembly video of this Honda Pilot. For now, I'm just going to move on. We are going to need to open the hood, so let's do that. We'll need to access some of these fasteners here. From what I see in the engine compartment, everything looks good from up here, but there is a giant engine cover covering up the engine, so I really can't say for sure. However, I don't want to get into the weeds about the engine in this video. I'll do another video about that. Right now, I want to stay focused on these headlights. Let's get it up in the air so we can get access to those fasteners underneath. It looks like there's a little oil leak here, which is going to inspire me to make another video, but it's not going to be covered in this video, but we will get to that at some point. So if you see that, ignore it for now and know that I'm going to address it. As I mentioned, the lower splash shield has already been removed. I left it off. So if you need to remove it, there are a bunch of plastic clips and I believe two 10mm up under here as well. Next thing to do is to separate it from these inner fender liners so that we can get this whole front clip off. I'm using a plastic clip removal tool to get these clips out. If body clips ever give you trouble, my trick is to just spray them with a little bit of WD-40. Then they seem to come apart nicely. So WD-40 works on plastic. Weird, right? Now we must remove this 10mm here. There's one just like it on the other side. There's a Phillips head screw here. There's a Phillips head screw here, where my finger is, here. And then there's another one up in here that needs to be removed that goes up in this way. Of course that was going to happen. Hopefully penetrating oil will solve it. They left me a little hole. I'll show you. So they left this little hole right here that I hope you can see. But that hole allows me to spray through here up onto the back of this bolt. Hopefully get it soaked up in there a little bit. Yeah, it feels like it ripped out. If you leave the steering wheel unlocked, just one click back instead of with all the lights on in the dash, you can move the front wheels a little bit and you'll be able to get a screwdriver in to access these screws. Let's do the other side. I'd be very surprised if those come out. The other side didn't come out and I'm probably gonna have to do something about it, but just know that that's probably where your bottleneck's gonna be if you're in the rust belt. I think that's everything we needed to do under there, so we can let it down now. I think that pretty much takes care of everything underneath and on the side. So the only thing remaining are these clips on top, and then we can get the bumper off. But when we remove the bumper, we must be careful because the fog lights are still plugged in and we need to unplug them. In fact, I probably should have done that once I had removed the lower splash shield from this side, because you can get access from underneath there. Well, we'll deal with that as it comes. But if I were to do it again, I would disconnect it underneath before I did any of this, just to be sure that I didn't strain any of those wires. With those covers removed, there are two final 10mm fasteners up here at the top of the grill that we can now access. It's probably clipped in down here a little bit. And again, I want to be aware of the wiring going to the fog light. I don't want to mess that up. And I think if we pull out, it releases the bumper. Same with the other side. It seemed easier just to twist the bulb counterclockwise than to disconnect the connector to get this out of here. But what I found on this side was this bulb was not even in the back of the assembly. So that may be why this didn't work. So let's turn the headlights on and see if this works now. If it does, we fixed it. Wait a second. Wasn't it this bulb that was working and the other side that wasn't? I don't remember, but this bulb is bad. No matter, we have new bulbs. That's interesting that that side wasn't even in the back of the fog light. Let's fix things. I'm just gonna remove both headlights because even the one I'm reconditioning, I feel it would be easier to do off the vehicle. There are a couple of fasteners, 10mm fasteners here. There's also one here on the side. And on top, there's one more plastic clip and another 10mm fastener here, amongst all the electrical connections that go to all the lights and things on the back of the headlight. Go for these two first. These are 10mm if I didn't call it out already. It should be ours now. There may be a little clip, couple of clips actually, up in here. Looks like that was just a strain relief on the back there. I think what I'll do is I'm just gonna undo all the lights. Strain relief, again, just clipped in. This one just slid in here like that. Slide it out. All of those, and our headlight assembly. Ooh, Looks like they put a lot of the air box behind this left headlight. This headlight wasn't even screwed in all the way. And just giving these a counterclockwise turn and releasing them. Oh, that was not cool. So that shattered into a bunch of pieces. As you saw, it was not my fault. I'm saying it's not my fault. But now, that guy's full of a bunch of stuff. So that's some of the remnants. I'm going to see if I can reach down in there with my little claw tool and pull it out. Got it! So I got the big piece out. Yeah, it seems all out of there. This piece also fell out. So I think that's all of it. Moving on, next problem. I'm glad I got all the bits out because I did want to use the passenger side headlight to recondition. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Now I went to my local big box store and I found the cheapest headlight restoration kit that I could find that had UV protection. And this is what I found for that. I bought this myself. This is not a sponsored video. This is not a test to see how effective this product is. In fact, if this is taking too long, I'm just gonna switch over to my drill and do my old method, clean this, and use the UV protectant wipes at the end. I think that's the most important part of this, as the commenters have pointed out. So now, I'm gonna clean up, recondition this headlight, and get it ready to reinstall. There it is, yours. The restored headlight versus the unrestored headlight. I'm not going to say that the restored headlight is perfect, but it's obviously way better than it used to be. It also has the all-important UV protection installed. So this should not yellow, and well, it shouldn't yellow quickly. It should take a long time if it does at all. But that said, that is one headlight restored. That took some time. Now let's do it the easy way. This one is marked L, which would be the left side, which is this one. Comes with new bulbs. I don't have to worry about replacing them. Looks awesome right out of the box, right? With these halogen bulbs, try not to touch them with your bare fingers. Well, avoid touching them with your bare fingers. That will ruin the bulb. Gloves are good. How do I know where the connectors go? It's pretty obvious when the wire lays down on the back of this. Over on this side, make sure you line up. There's a couple of holes that need to go in. Totally forgot about that whole piece that needs to be attached to this before installing it. It looks as though there's just that one 10mm fastener holding it on because that side looks like it goes with. Let's find out. I'm very glad that came out. But just one bolt. I'm gonna try to sneak this in without unplugging everything. Actually went right in. Here's a little more detail on that piece underneath the headlight. There's no attachment here other than where it mounts to the body. There are these two tabs that stick up that go through the outer piece here. So when this is not here, you just see two pegs sticking up. Match those holes up with the things that are sticking out. And then on this side, there's just that one 10mm fastener. I can assure you that took a lot less time than restoring a headlight, and it's brand new. And now for our reconditioned headlight. Reconditioned headlight installed. To my eye, there is a difference between the two, but there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, this one's obviously brand new, but this one looks way better than it did when we started, which, if you're looking for an affordable solution, that's this one over here. If you're looking for an easy solution, that's probably this one over here. But we're gonna come back in a year and find out, well, how this guy looks. Was it worth it? And how this guy looks. Was it worth it? I almost forgot to do something real important. We need to test it before we put everything back together. Because if there's one of these bulbs out or something, we want to know now. I'm not worried about these because those are new. But if there's something out on this side, yeah. I did install the new fog light bulbs, the LED fog light bulbs. So those should work. Headlights work. It's so obvious that this one is reconditioned. Marker light works. Marker light works. Okay, let's try the bright headlights. The fog light should go off when we do this. That one works. That one works. Let's turn the key on and try the turn signals. That one works, and that one works. Now we can put it back together. Viewers, that is going to bring this video to a close, but as you know, there will be another video in 1 year's time. Incidentally, I'm shooting this video July 1st, 2026. Plan to come back July 1st, 2027, or someplace close to that. We'll get a look at these headlights and see how they look, the new compared to the reconditioned. I put a set of new TRQ headlights on my 2003 Pilot about 4 years ago, and they are starting to show a little bit of haze, but that may just be because I didn't wash it. Otherwise, I haven't had to mess with it. And frankly, that's my preferred method these days. I think my days of reconditioning headlights are pretty much done. I'm going to drop this in here because I know that if I don't, it's going to come up in the comments somewhere, and that is about aiming the headlights. If you're reconditioning your headlights, there should be no need to worry about aiming the headlights. You can just bask in the glory of the fact that you're able to see at night now because that haze is gone. If you replace the headlights, kind of a similar situation really, because they usually aim these things and set them up before they go out the door, so you shouldn't really have to mess with the aim on new headlights. If you do have to mess with the headlight aim, which the way you would check it is I would just turn the headlights on, point them towards the garage door, and look if they're both even. If they are, leave it that way. I've got other videos that I've done in this that I will link in the description, but what you would be looking for is an area like this that you insert a Phillips head screwdriver into in order to make the adjustment. There's one more thing you could run into. Self-leveling headlights are a thing now. You'll know if you have self-leveling headlights when you go to buy them. They're just stupid expensive. And what they do, they don't require any leveling other than with like a scan tool and some other stuff. That's something you don't, well, I'm not going to get into here in this video. I'm just bringing it up again because I feel if I don't, somebody will say something about headlight aim in the comments. I'm sorry I didn't give you a whole bunch of detail on that splash shield and everything else, but frankly, there were a ton of missing clips down there. And as I mentioned, the removal of that is covered in another video, which I will link down in the description. I'm going to recommend this. If you are doing a job like this or removing a splash shield or anything like that, you might want to consider some plastic clips because oftentimes they're missing or they break when you remove them. It's almost a consumable kind of thing. So I keep a stock of plastic clips, like a whole bunch of them around, just for situations like this where there may be a bunch of them missing or I break one during removal. So that may be helpful to you. Links in the description to a bunch of stuff. Also, shout out to TRQ where you can view before you do for sending me the headlights for this. And I'm sad I've only installed one, but you know, in a year, I'm putting that other one in because it looks better, way better, way better. And that is it is a very affordable fix. So if that's what you're after, boom, there you go. But if you're looking for something more permanent, something, I think replacing headlights is easier. That's just my opinion. Again, links in the description to additional stuff, which is where I ask you go. Well, if you have questions about anything that you might have seen or not have seen in this video. Otherwise, I ask that you head to EricTheCarGuy.com. Bunch of stuff there to help you with automotive questions that I didn't cover in this one. Thank you so much for watching today. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. I will see you next time. Yes, I will.